All right, good morning, everyone. I do see a few requests to record the meeting coming through. We are recording on our end too, and we'll distribute it out to the SIDs after the call. Thanks again for joining this morning. My name is Matt Mallian, Senior Director of Marketing and Communications here at Rev Entertainment. We are super excited to be hosting the Shriners Children's College Showdown next weekend. We have the 6 head coaches on today's call to help preview the tournament. We have Erik Bakich from Clemson, Mike Bianco from Ole Miss, Chip Hale from Arizona, Josh Holliday from Oklahoma State, Dan McDonald from Louisville, and Jim Schlossnagel from Texas. I want to start out by passing it along to Dustin Johnson with Shriners Children's. He is the National Director of Sports. Shriners Children's is the title sponsor of this event, and I would like to allow him to say a few words to get us started. Dustin?
Thank you, Matt. Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you all taking the time to join us. Shriners Children's is thrilled to be part of this tournament for the second year in a row now, which also represents our 10th year to have a meaningful role in college baseball. We believe this tournament to be the nation's premier non-postseason college baseball tournament, and we say that for a variety of reasons. It's not simply because of the world-class venue and Globe Life Field. It's not just because of the awesome experience that Rev Entertainment provides participants. And it's not just because of the elite on-field competition and the amazing programs at play, but it's also because of the incredible difference that this tournament helps make in the lives of children and families from around the world. Each year, and again this year, all 6 participating teams host one of our patients on their campus prior to the tournament. All 6 of those kids will be in Arlington next week and serve as honorary team captains. So we're thrilled that they have the opportunity to share their stories and have the experience alongside these participating teams. It's something that we hope makes a difference in their life and something that they remember for a long time to come. One new element that we're thrilled to be able to add this year as well is the addition of a Miracle League event to kick off the tournament next Thursday. We're super excited to be able to host 40 different kids from the Miracle League program in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to live out a true college baseball experience at Globe Life Field. They'll take the field alongside Clemson University, and they'll serve as their buddies throughout the game. We couldn't think of a better way to kick off the tournament weekend next week in Arlington. And I would just simply close by thanking the college baseball community, the participating coaches and fans everywhere for continuing to support our cause, making this a worthwhile initiative. We're so incredibly proud to have been able to care for more than 1.5 million kids over the past 100 years, and to be able to do it regardless of their family's ability to pay and their insurance status. So thank you all for helping advance our cause and make this tournament so successful. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Dustin. All right, we'll open it up to questions from media. I see a few hands raised already, but you can raise your hand using the React function at the bottom of your screen, and we will start calling on media. So we'll go to Stephen Hawkins with the AP to get us going.
Hey, I just wanted to ask, I'm going to start with Coach Bianco because you guys have played in this event before in 2021. I know there's always a lot of excitement going into a season, but how different, do you sense much different when you're preparing to go into a season when you're going to open in a major league ballpark like this?
Stephen, I've laugh and have said it, a few times, already. We played, as you mentioned, back in 21, coming out of COVID, and amazingly, won 3 games there against some 3 really good teams. And so probably when the people at Globe Life and Shriners and asked us to be back in it, it sounded like a great idea until 2025, and you looked at the schedule and you're going to pay 3 top 25 teams, and I think probably as coaches we all have a little bit of angst, going opening up with this type of caliber weekend on the road. I think we would all love to probably do it 2 or 3 weeks into the season, but the truth of the matter is everybody's in the same boat. I know our guys are super excited. The tournaments run so well. I don't know if there's a better one in the country, as Dustin just had mentioned. But to be inside, to play in this ballpark, beautiful ballpark, and it's received so well by the fans. I know our fans love to come to Arlington and come into that stadium, but so many others, it's I think just a great venue for the college baseball fans, and all three games are packed, and so I know our guys are super excited about it. As far as the ballpark, we haven't even mentioned it. Our guys are excited enough just to play in a big league ballpark on opening weekend.
Next, we'll go to Mac Engel.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Coach Schlossnagle, I just want to say hi. But this question, I'll open it up for anybody. I'll pick you, Coach McDonald. It applies to all of you. This is an NCAA sports question on behalf of parents who have children participating in Olympic and non-revenue sports. Let's say they're ages 16 and younger. With the changes that are getting ready to potentially come down the pike from NCAA sports and the settlement and all that, can these parents expect to get some kind of athletic scholarship assistance in the way of for their kids if they're good enough to play at that level? Or should these parents expect, guys, that they're probably going to end up footing more of the bill because of the way this settlement is ultimately going to be hashed out?
Hey, Matt, Dan McDonald, I think you asked me to chime in first. Did you broke up a little bit? I don't know if you guys missed that, but I missed part of the first part of the question.
Coach, can you hear me? Coach, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you good. You just broke up right when you got to like the meat of the question, I think.
Can parents of a kid who have a 15-year-old or a 13-year-old who have aspirations of maybe landing an athletic scholarship in an Olympic or non-revenue sport, can they expect athletic scholarship assistance the way parents have for many generations? Or do you think that one of the changes is going to come is that parents and kids who want to play sports are going to be footing a little bit more of the bill than they had been previously as a result of the NCAA settlement that's getting ready ultimately to be announced one day, I think?
Well, I got to laugh because I'm thinking, holy cow, thanks for the leadoff question to kick off the year, man. You're getting I'm trying to figure out my starting lineup, man. You're getting deep on me. I can just tell you as a baseball coach for 30 of my 33 years, we've dealt with partial scholarships. We've never been a full scholarship sport. The last few years, it's obviously gotten sideways and some good and some just different. So I don't really know the future. I think parents will find a way. And I hate anything that deters kids from, I think, the value of playing a sport, high school sport. There's a lot of health benefits to it. College statistics, we brag about our success rate in the academic world, graduation. There's so many positives. So finances is a big part. I don't want to undermine it, but I don't want to make that the tell-all either as to why a kid should or shouldn't play a sport, because for almost 30 years, I didn't have a kid on a full scholarship, or if I did, it was very few. And many kids and families had to find ways. We all had jobs in the summer back when we were playing, and I had many kids and families take out loans to make this experience the value of what it is. So I'm confident parents will find a way, but I honestly have no idea how this is going to look in a couple years.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Next question, Michael Lev. Michael Lev, next question.
Oh, yeah. Hi. I have one question for Coach Bianco and one for Coach Holiday. the one for Coach uh, Bianco. You guys have played Arizona a couple times in the postseason in recent years, including kind of right in the transition phase from Jay Johnson to Chip Hale. I just wondered what you thought about the way that Chip has developed the program and what your kind of initial scouting report is on the Wildcats.
Obviously the history of Arizona and its tradition there and all the success that they've had in national championships. I think instantly when you're playing them, that's what you first see. But I thought Chip has done a terrific job, and certainly after the job that Jay had done. There, but Andy before him and others. So I just know when you're playing Arizona that you're going to play one of the, I think, blue bloods, of college baseball, and everybody's excited about it.
Sure. And for Coach Holiday, obviously the Big 12 has changed quite a bit. Oklahoma and Texas have left. Arizona State, Utah have arrived, following some others last year. What is your assessment of what the league looks like right now and how competitive it might be this season?
Well, I think there's a lot of good teams. You mentioned the teams that join. We got a trip to Tucson planned, and it'll be a great series. Looks like Wildcats are returning a lot of really good offensive players and have a number of good arms. So clearly, they've got an outstanding team. The Sun Devils look like they have the best team they've had in quite some time, and obviously become more familiar with Utah. But Central Florida, I think, has an outstanding roster heading into the year. A lot of really, really good pitchers return, and a lot of the teams that have been so competitive year in, year out. The TCUs and Texas Techs of the world. Kansas State's coming off of a great year. Kansas continues to get better and better every year. So lots of good ball clubs, lots of great trips, lots of great challenges. I think top-notch players, coaches, locations, it's all there. So should be a great year.
Thank you.
Next question, Matt Jones.
Yes, this question is for Coach Schlossnagle and Coach Bianco. The SEC's gone away from divisions this year. Is that something you were for or against? And what do you think the pros and cons are of going away from the division format?
I'll defer to Coach Bianco and his massive experience in the conference. The grandfather of the coaches, you might say.
I don't know how come I get all the questions, but I will say that I think I don't know, and Schloss may correct me. I don't know if it was unanimous, but I think it was that we chose to pick divisions, and just because I think optically, from a standpoint from fans with 16 teams in our league, you could have a really good year and be 6th or 7th in our league and just be, kind of clustered in the middle. I think it's great to be able to always, strive to win a trophy. And I get, to win the SEC is terrific, but, to win the West or to win the East, I think is really cool. I think the ADs, and I don't want to speak for them, but I think they went more for the reasoning in football and some of the other sports where in the format with a two common opponents, you'll be able to get to everybody's facility or campus within a 4-year span, and they thought that was important for fans. They thought that was important for the student athletes. I don't think it's awful, but I think I like the West, and I thought it was a chance for us to even put the map a little bit better, where the teams in the East would really be in the East. But again, sometimes we don't have that say. But I think the addition of the two teams, Oklahoma and Texas, just made us a lot better.
So, Coach, just to make sure I understand this right, the coaches wanted it divisions, and the ADs are the ones who decided to go the opposite way.
I guess ADs and presidents, so like everything that happens in the conference, the coaches don't have the final say. So the coaches bring up things in their particular sports, be it football, baseball, basketball. They vote on it, and then it goes to the athletic directors and the presidents after that. But that's not the only thing. Every decision that's made, obviously, goes. The final decision is the ADs and the chancellor presidents.
Okay, thank you. Hey, and for Coach Schlossnagle, when you were in Fort Worth, I think did you work kind of closely with the Rangers on getting this first one off the ground? And have you been surprised at all with how popular this has become in Arlington?
Yes, when I was at TCU, myself, Sean Decker, Jared Schramm, the other Rangers people at the time, we worked really hard. I think the first one was a Big 12 SEC challenge, um, and it just so happened that it ended up being the the year after COVID 21, and we had the freeze. And I think all the coaches who are on this call who remember that weekend, uh, what would have been really cool that weekend was to not have the freeze and not have the COVID restrictions, because there was no one had seen baseball in that stadium yet. The Rangers had played whatever, games with no fans in 2020, I believe. There was a World Series with no fans. So actually the real first opportunity for just the general baseball fan to get in the stadium to watch baseball would have been that tournament. And I think even with the restrictions, we had about 18,000 a day. And I fully predicted or felt like we would have had 30 to 35,000 people a day, simply because the general fan wanted to get in there and see the new stadium and see baseball indoors. But even with the bad weather and pushing the thing back a day that year, we still had great games and great fan support. So, yes, it was an awesome experience to be a part of that on the front end.
Thank you.
Next question, David Hood.
Hey, good afternoon. This is for Coach Holiday and Coach Bakich. Coach Holiday, how much fun is it to have this kind of juice coming right out of the gate? You guys get that, top game there on Friday, and how much do you know about Clemson? How much have you kind of taken a dive into what Coach Bakich has back? And then Coach Bakich, tell me a little bit, what you've learned about Oklahoma State so far.
Yeah, I'm glad we play the first game. It'll be fun to get out of bed and have a schedule and get over there and play and kind of know what to expect timing wise and just get the good energy out on the field and get this thing started. Obviously, Clemson's got a great team back. I've known Erik forever and always been a friend. And so I followed his teams over the years and watch them closely when get a chance to flip a college baseball game on. Like many of the guys on this call, they're all good friends. So talented team, it looks like. Some real standout players. They're coming off of a year last year where they had a ton of success. So I'm sure they'll be just as excited as we are. And should be a fun way to kick this thing off.
Yeah, thanks, David. I mean, as you know, I'll be watching the game with you from the hotel for the first couple with the ejection. But no, to echo Josh, yeah, he and I are friends and have connections going way back and played each other a few times in 2015 at Michigan, as well as in the Dodgertown Classic. And teams are always very well coached. Their pitching coach does an outstanding job with their pitchers. They've got, two just early scouting, two really standout guys. The Davis kid that was on Team USA that throws it like 100 miles an hour. Obviously, he's a superstar. And then they have the Hawaii transfer that's a lefty, Bodendorf, that also is excellent. So we know we're facing a righty or a lefty. But very well coached team. Always a great offense. Nolan Schubart certainly stands out offensively. Another premier slugger. So we know we're going to have our work cut out for us, but we're excited about the challenge, obviously, to play one of the best teams in the country right out of the chute. We may even have the first game of the college baseball season at 11 a.m. So excited about that and can't wait to get down there.
Coach Wall, I've got you. Do you like the new ACC tournament format that they announced earlier today? Kind of getting out of that pool play deal that they've had that nobody liked.
Yeah, I'm never a fan of pool play. I like tournaments that mirror the postseason. So I'm more of a fan of whatever mirrors closer to a double elimination World Series tournaments. But I don't care. Well, whatever. We'll be happy to get in there and play it. I know a lot of coaches wanted the single elimination.
Next question, Michael McCammon.
This question is for Dan McDonald. Dan, as you guys are getting prepared, you mentioned a moment ago that you're trying to figure out your pitching rotation. And at the leadoff dinner, you mentioned that the pitching depth could be a strength of this team. As you're getting closer to playing Texas in your opener, how do you like how they're looking through the start of practice? Are they progressing the way you want them to be? And have you figured out who's going to be that starting rotation?
It's a good question, not returning a ton of weekend starters, but a lot of talented guys. It's still a work in progress. We definitely have good candidates. A couple guys are receiving a little more attention than others because of their history and maybe their Team USA success. But I know Coach Williams has a game plan. We'll get through this last weekend of scrimmages and finalize some things, and then realize it's early on. And as I mentioned at the leadoff dinner, I like the depth of the pitching staff and the talent, and especially early on when guys are pitch counts and they're limited, and it seems like you need two starters more often than not right out of the chute. So knock on wood, so far so good. But let's see when there's a really good opponent in the other dugout.
Quick follow-up. What are your thoughts on Texas in your opener?
I mean, the tradition, obviously, I know Coach Slosh very well, and there's a newness to it. I've coached against them at TCU and Texas A&M, and so there's going to be a ton of excitement. We call it the feature Friday night game, so I think we're going to be a little outnumbered with fans, but I mean, he's won everywhere he's coached. They're going to come out with a lot of juice and energy. We got to make sure we could control our emotion and the heart rate and just play the game, because the game is challenging enough as it is. So, but I'm looking forward to the kind of the hoopla and the excitement, as I know it'll be an exciting day for obviously Slosh and their whole fan base.
Great. Appreciate it.
We'll take a couple more questions here. Nicole Beckelman.
Hi, I have two questions. First is for Coach Bakich. I know the transfer portal is a crazy place. Seems like you're pretty good at navigating it, as y'all brought in some veteran hitters from some other schools this offseason. Can you talk about how you and your staff manage the portal and some of the new talent you brought in?
Yeah, I think all of us would prefer to, build our programs with high school players and have those 3 and 4 year relationships. That's ideal, but as college baseball has gotten older and the reliability of the data, the transfer portal data, and knowing what you're going to get with an older kid and looking at his numbers, seeing what he did at that conference, at that school, knowing who exactly the competition level is. It's easier to plug holes and fill gaps with kids when you need some to insert guys and make an immediate impact. Not saying freshmen can't do that. It's just harder. And to the previous question earlier, I think, it's going to be harder and harder for those high school kids to get recruited now that rosters are being reduced by 15% and the transfer portal being on fire. But, when every coach does a needs assessment every year, we happen to have lost 70 something home runs from last year's team. So finding some proven guys in the portal that could slug a little bit was a big need. And so being able to fill that out of the portal was important. So it depends on whatever each year the team's needs are. And hopefully you can build that roster with high school kids, but having the portal available to plug and go is certainly valuable.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. And next is for Coach Bianco. I read that this team is starting off the season with no one named as captain. Can you elaborate on why you felt that this was the best decision for the team?
Yeah, we've as long as I've been here, we've let the players choose a captain at the end of the fall, and I felt this year the makeup of our roster, so many older guys, so many guys that have been here. I think one of the negatives of selecting a captain or captains, co-captains, is I think keeps other guys that could be leaders in certain moments from showing that leadership. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that is kind of organic. And, we talk about leaders, all the time, and we've talked about it a lot, over the last, 12 months. And so we want to give as many guys the opportunity to be leaders of this team as possible. And so we wanted as many leaders as possible.
Got it. Thanks, Coach.
We have time for two more questions. We'll take Chase Parham and Noah Darling, and we'll wrap it up. So Chase.
Hey, Mike. I know you always want to go on the road one time during non-conference play, but with so many guys, as you mentioned, older and even to the portal who've played a ton of baseball, is it more or less important to do that, or the same, or is there any difference with kind of your roster makeup in this portal era?
I think the same, Chase. We got a lot of new faces, and even though it, may be somebody that traveled from another school, the way we travel, and to us, it's really to go through to get on a plane, to get on a bus, to be in a hotel, to do the Thursday night practice and all the meetings that go along with the weekend, is to try to, it's that first dry run to do that. So it doesn't matter if you're, an experienced guy, you did it probably at another program. So we have some returners, as we talked about, but some guys. The other thing that's, probably been is as much of an education as, Joe Mangrum, the pitching coach, and trying to figure out, when he's going to have his meetings and things that, he feels that are important, in that weekend, and getting it done in the itinerary. So that's been a learning experience as well.
Great. Noah Darling.
For coaches Bakich and Holiday, you guys each have players, Cam Canarella and Nolan Schubart, who are both, of course, tremendous, to the point where we've always kind of thought on the outside, those guys have to play in Omaha at some point during their careers. For each of you, how have Cam and Nolan taken the next steps as leaders in the locker room this offseason in an effort to hopefully lead the team to Omaha?
Yeah, that'd be a great place to see. Yeah, I'd love to start the season against Clemson and finish them in Omaha. But Nolan's grown in many ways. From day one, he's been an awesome human being and student. And then from there, he's laid down two awfully good seasons, both his freshman year and then again last year. His work ethic has always been sound, but I think what he's probably done more so this year than any year is he's brought some guys along with him and given our younger players somebody to model their behavior after, because he's such a good role model. And I just see him influencing other people in a really positive way, and yet still focusing on getting better inside of his own game. So he's a wonderful kid. The term All-American is well used on him.
Same sentiments with Cam. He's extremely gifted naturally, and he can do things on a field that other kids, maybe not be able to do. And so him putting his arms around other people and just being more vocal has been new, something that we've encouraged, and he's done it maybe even out of his comfort zone, because he's not a big talker. He plays loud, and sometimes his competitiveness is super loud on the field, but that's been a growth opportunity for him, as well as keeping the target on competing for him and not shifting it to what comes next or the reward after the season. But he's an ultimate team guy, and he's always been a great teammate, and his growth being a little bit more vocal and bringing some guys with him, coming to early work and working with some of the other younger kids. That's been an awesome development this year.
If I could just add one for Coach Hale while we're all here, would hate for him to go quiet into the night here. Coach, how does your professional experience kind of help you lead a team into a kind of a daunting environment in Arlington, where the average college baseball player may not be prepared for just the sights of that kind of scene?
I think it's obviously, whether you're coached professionally or it doesn't really matter. I mean, these kids are going to get in there and they're going to be excited to play in that ballpark against great competition. I think that, we all think we have pretty good clubs. I think we all think we know a little bit about our teams, but we're going to find a lot more out about each one of our groups. And I think you can't go wrong playing this kind of competition early in the season. It's hard here. We've tried with all these different conferences to try to go home and home. So if we're going to play against the best, we're going to have to keep going to these tournaments because I don't think anybody wants to come out to Tucson. I welcome anybody if you want to come on out. We'll do a home and home with any of these guys, but it doesn't seem to be happening. So as of right now, it's these tournaments, and we'll do this one and do one in Houston and see how we are. Get ready for the Big 12.
Awesome. Thanks. I want to thank all the coaches for their time today, for jumping on and previewing the tournament. We look forward to seeing everyone next weekend. If you're a media member that is planning on coming out that hasn't applied yet, you can go to reventertainment.com/credentials, and we'll see you next weekend. Thanks, everyone.
See you guys.